Awesome, and we are on. Locking it down, and Patrick, what are we doing?
Zip locking it down.
Zip locking it down.
Zip
Awesome.
locking it up.
That's right. Either way, only you're the one who gets to share it with that way. So this is Marci Lock TV, and I'm sitting outside in beautiful California. Wanted to be outside today to share with you, and I'm joined by my amazing guest, Patrick Coombs. So looks like your office in Carlsbad.
Encinitas, California, 1 hour from you.
Yeah, that's right. So, and I'll be seeing you next week because we get to hang too. So today, if you were joining us on the Marci Lock Show for the very first time and you're like, what is this about? It's about awesomeness. That's just it. That's how we roll. The Marci Lock Show is the whole entire purpose is to spread this message that you can literally have it all, have a life of awesomeness in every degree when you are fully aligned in who you are. That means mind, body, heart, spirit connected. For women, showing up as a true goddess that you're designed to be and sharing your passion, purpose, and having an epic life in every aspect. And for men, it's living in your God, the person that you're designed to be, as fully showing up in that aspect as well. So for me on this show, my intention is to bring on people that are living in that space, that are amazing examples of living in their truth and living in their purpose and sharing this message that I believe is possible in shifting your belief systems to see that when you're aligned, abundance gets to be showing up in every aspect of your life. So today I have one of my favorite people on. I'm like super giddy about it just because I actually got to meet Patrick. Gosh, it hasn't even been that long, Patrick, but you're like one of my very best friends who I adore. When was New York? That was just like, was I in New York a month ago?
Yeah, a month and 2 weeks ago.
Was it really? Yeah, so 6 weeks ago and is when I got to meet this amazing epic man. I was traveling back to back between seminars and events, and I think I was in San Diego and California for some TV stuff, and then I was in Arizona backpacking in to do a badass breakthrough experience I'd created in Havasupai, and I backpacked out of that sucker, got a flight to New York, and showed up that morning to hear Patrick speak at an event that I was at in New York that I got to teach some workouts at. And I can tell you, I was kind of in this space of just like, how do I put this nicely? There wasn't some powerful speakers that I wasn't being like, oh, that's some great nuggets of information. And all of a sudden, Patrick was like, gets up on stage, and he just lit up the stage, and he lit up the audience, and he had this way of connecting. And then I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the dude. I had a good friend that had been at an event a little bit before where Patrick had spoken, and I remember, so I was speaking at an event with this other speaker friend, and we were talking about this event that he'd been at in San Diego. It was Ted McGrath's event, and which Patrick is the coach of Ted in his messaging and all that. And he said there was this guy who spoke, and he said he's the coach of Ted, and is Patrick Coombs. So I recognized the name, and he was like, he was the most amazing speaker I have ever heard. And we were like, why? What made him so amazing? What was so good about it? And he just went off about how your ability to draw you into the story and your ability to like light up the stage and just all these things that he recognized. And so it was so interesting. I was like, oh my gosh, no wonder that's the guy. And so of course, because I only attract awesomeness and awesome people, I was like, I felt on, I was like, I'm going to go talk to this guy right after. And Patrick became like, this is how cool Divine Alignment is, one of my very best friends that I connected with. And we were just having a blast for the rest of the event. We went and played in New York City. We had the day before I left that we went and walked around and played. And we even got video of a blue steel contest where I believe you flashed everyone and I did too.
Yeah.
And we were like, I think we told the people.
It was a split decision too. It was a split decision. You won round one, and I won round two. Yeah, you won round two though because the lady didn't even look at me. Our little we ended up just picking random people as to be judges, right? Yeah.
You decided you got to practice your epic blue steel skills. So I'm like, sure, I'll play. And we, the second round, the new set of judges. She didn't even look at me. She purely looked at you, and you flashed her. So I was like, yeah, we know why you won. She was looking at your goods, but then I decided to flash her too.
The 70-year-olds go nuts when I flash her gun.
She was not 70. I flashed her after you did, but she didn't change her mind. So apparently I still didn't have the goods that she was looking at. But in all this, obviously, the thing that I love about this man is his perceptions. Like, in spending the time with him, he is so present, and he's so in tune with just being in his experience, and maybe that's why through his years, and you getting to hear his story, you guys are just going to be so drawn in, but through his experience of the way that he lives life and how he perceives things, I had a great, and I don't even know that I've gotten to tell you this yet, Patrick, but the last night that I was in New York and we were hanging at, I don't even know, that place with all the Jamaican music, right? And we had some super in-depth conversations, right, about relationships and blocks and barriers and different things. And I thought about it, I was like, that it was hugely powerful for me to hear your perception shift on it. And so part of not only the experience of hanging with Patrick is he is so present, and I love that, like, he shows up like I do. We're just like totally giddy, being kids, like in life experience, let go of all attachment and judgments, that we were just having a blast. But you have such a deep side to you, and the way that you would appreciate everyone in their message, I saw that along the way too, all the people we interacted with, how you so appreciated the different presence people brought in their stories and experience, that I was just like, wow, this man is so in tune with who he is and his ability to share his message. So, I mean, just, I don't know how to promote him more other than to say this guy is amazing and awesome. So first off, I'm just going to tell you that to be able to connect with Patrick, I'm going to give him your exact website. It's patrickcombs.com. Do you want just that one, or there's the /master?
Combs as in C-O-M-B-S.
Yes. That's what
comb
this
it out.
like,
Lock it down and comb it out. Comb it over. Lock it down and comb it over.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this reminds me, before we get into this too, I'm laughing already because, and I didn't even tell everyone this, I'm just talking about my own personal experience with you, but that Patrick has his own one-man show. And you're pretty much the person that revolutionized this, right? Like, this didn't really, did this exist before you?
I didn't revolutionise the industry. No, I didn't.
No, but you just made it happen. So you were.
Yeah, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, you know, of Spalding Gray, the legends of the theater world, Spalding Gray, John Leguizamo, you know. But through things we'll talk about on this phone call, which is a miracle in my life, but one that I want to share because we can all create miracles in our life. I have played on the same stages in the same settings. If you will, it's sort of nearing, I don't know how to say it, like I've lived that dream of Spalding Gray and John Leguizamo in a way that was really a, you know, where I think Einstein says, go out and astound yourself. Mm-hmm. I've astounded myself with where that show has gone. Mm-hmm. Now I'm bringing that aspect in to a world that has never been in. I'm teaching and helping guys like Ted McGrath do a one-man show for transformational purposes, so it's very exciting. I'm adding value to what I love about the art of storytelling and speaking. Yeah. But you have a huge depth to that. But I just want to say before I allow you to kind of share your story and go into who you are, and I might have a little bit of background noise near the road. Hang on one second. There it goes. Okay, so, but your show was picked the #2. I want to say it right. Like the I never determined if it was
show. Say that.
Yeah. Yeah, HBO little known fact, HBO every year sends out agents, scouting agents, and they search the world. They literally travel around the globe, and they're looking for 2 shows that they consider are the 2 funniest new shows in the world. And my show was selected by HBO as the funniest new show in the world, and another man's from the UK was selected. Awesome. So,
on top of that, you're actually touring in the UK and Ireland. You're huge there. Like, you're like, woo! Like, people are nutty over you. Which they're not.
I always say laughing because, you know, I mean, because what does it mean to say I'm big anywhere, right? I'm big in Ireland. What does that mean? There's no real value or meaning to that, right? But there are those T-shirts that say I'm big in Japan, and there's some credibility in a way that really cracks me up. Like, I'm big in Ireland. You know, like I've played several hundred theaters for a decade in the United States of America with my one-man comedic show. Mm-hmm. But right now, I'm big in Ireland. If I walk down the street in Dublin, people recognize me.
Well, they should recognize you. You're amazing. I've had the personal experience of that. So
that's all just pure silliness, but
it is what it is. You're touring in Ireland. You're touring in the UK. You've got this amazing title as one of the most comedic shows by HBO in the world. I mean, these are some big accomplishments, but I know you always like to play it down, and you're like, you know, it is what it is. I'm like, stop it. Just say yes, I'm awesome, and accept it. But so obviously, if you guys want to connect with Patrick, I'm going to let you know right now that you can go to that patrickcombs.com. If you are new to the show, you can also go to get the Marci Lock app at marcilockapp.com or on iTunes or Google Play and be able to get all the past awesome TV shows, radio shows, everything from free workouts to recipes to Mind Body Breakthrough. And also go to mindbody90.com, mindbody90.com to be able to get access to the free video series to liberate yourself from the lies and get to the truth of living in your God or goddess and rock out, lock it down life, like we like to call it. So knowing now what this epic man brings, I hope you guys are ready to take notes and have a, listening and tuning in, because he's got some amazing nuggets, and I'm sure he'll make you laugh at the same time. But Patrick, I'm going to turn it over to you to really share who you are. Let us know, they have a background to where you are now, but who are you really?
Okay. So I was raised by a single parent in Bend, Oregon, if any of you ever been to Oregon. And we just didn't have money. My mother was a licensed practical nurse, and we grew up in a trailer house. And nobody in my family tree had ever gone to college whatsoever. And my mother, although of little education, was of enormous wisdom in town, enormous wisdom. And she passed away in June, so this is a very special conversation to have. This is the first time for me to speak about my mother since she passed away. Yeah. So it's to pay great tribute to what she did. She gave me a very simple message growing up, and that was, you can do anything you set your mind to. You can do anything you set your mind to, boys. And the other message was, do something you love. I don't care what you do something you love. If you want to be a trash man, be a trash man, but Patrick, be the best trash man in the world. These were the simple yet profound messages I got growing up, and that's really a large reflection of who I am. And I want to say one other thing, because as I was at my mother's side dying this last month, and I was witnessing what she'd come in the world. Let's not talk about me for a minute. Let's talk about us. One of my mother's other messages all the time was, Patrick, each generation is here to lift the next generation higher. What if it's not just about us? Because it's exciting, and I think it is largely about us. I think that we're put here on earth in order to live in our full. That's the divine intention, is live in your full. Just blossom. Just go as big as you can in all the joyful areas as you can. Hold nothing back. Enjoy this thing and be just as grand and noble and great as you feel inspired to do, right?
Yes.
And what if also you're doing it because there are people that will follow you in the next generation, and they'll get to go higher because of what you did. And that's also who I am. Is my mother came in, from super meager. My mother came in with abuse and with alcohol and drug addiction surrounding her, and being abandoned by her mother and growing up in abject poverty. But my mother took her generation higher and said, I'm getting the hell out of this realm, and I'm moving to where it makes no sense to move. I'm going to the other side. I'm taking my boys as far away from that shit as possible. And she made a meager living and raised us in Oregon and gave us messages she never got when she was a child. She never abandoned us when it was hard. And by the time my mother passed away and went on to her next step in June, she had completed the most epic mission I've ever seen in my life. This 5-foot-tall woman of a GED education had eliminated poverty, had eliminated lack of education, had eliminated abuse, had eliminated addiction, had eliminated abandonment from her branch of the family tree.
Wow.
So the reason why I can be here, Marci, and I can say, do you know what I've enjoyed in my life? I dreamed of being an inspirational. First of all, I went to college. I went to college. Wow, I went to college. Nobody had done that before. Thank you, for that. Then next I went, it would be a dream of dreams to be an inspirational speaker. Who am I to have that dream, right? You can think that about yourself. Who am I at 25 years old, going to a state school with B grades, growing up in a trailer house, having never accomplished anything you could slightly name as stupendous or impressive, to dream of being an inspirational speaker. But my mother always said, when there's a will, there's a way. I swear to God, her exact words, when there's a will, there's a way. And with that kernel of truth, just these tiny kernels of truth, because if you have the right belief sometimes, Well, it turns out there was. And there's a story of enormous struggle and determination and overcoming $45,000 of credit card debt and being told by all these naysayers I couldn't do it, you know, and bombing. But the end result is I'm 22 years into a career enjoying the privilege, the honor, the joy of getting to take stages and speak to inspire, speak to lift, speak to motivate. And I've done it over 1,500 times. I've had that privilege in life. And if that's all I ever did with my life, if that's what life had in store for me, I mean, how happy would I die? Yeah. So that's part of who I am. Part of who I am is enjoying and flowing with the grand privilege, because I had a dream, because I went for it, of getting to take stages all over the world and inspire and motivate audiences.
And so you've done this for, I mean, I know you told me that you've been the keynote speaker and the inspirational speaker for like Hilton's 700 top execs.
For Google, for Google, for Visa, for Stanford, for every university in the country you can probably name in every state.
Well, I got to see you. When we were in New York, you were speaking outside of this event that we were originally in when we went to play one day. That night you spoke for New York University, right? Yeah. And I got to hear you share your whole story, and it was just phenomenal. And then the line of these college students after to just like interact with you and the inspiration you were giving them. It was so cool to see these kids hear your story of going through way more than you got to just express there of the struggle and the no's and all these things, to hearing you live your dream now and inspiring them to just continue to pursue their dreams and how affected they were by it. I was like, wow, can you imagine when you, and for me, working with individuals, when you see one person light up to their true self or be in tune and tapped into their greatness, and the amount of people they can affect, to think of how many people they truly affect and go on to affect, and the thousands that you've affected of college students, because you've spoken at thousands of universities. And there's
I'm gonna own something a little bit, okay? I've affected millions.
There you go. Yes.
Millions of college students, not thousands, not hundreds of thousands.
You've spoken at thousands, so obviously if you've spoken at thousands, then there's a huge crowds at each one of those. I can only imagine. Yeah. And then from each of them shifting how many people they affect. It's just like you really can't put your head around it. There is no way to really say, oh, it's all encompassing huge. So in doing that, though, what would you say was the transitional moment for you of owning that? Or, I mean, you grew up with your mom speaking these awesome messages to you, but did you ever feel like there was a moment for those people who are in their shit right now, and they're in the depths right now and going, how do I know I can do it like you? You know, like, yeah, you pursued. What would you share with them as that inspiration to allow them to see?
Oh, so many things, and I would, and so to really have a reference point for who I am, for those who don't know me or just getting to know me, really the most important thing to know about me is I live to help people discover that they can live their passion, that they have this greatness inside them, and it's just my great joy, honor, and privilege to help people go, wow, I can live that dream? Yeah. I can live that passion? Yeah. I can become talented or great at things I dream of and I'm not now? Yes. So the thing my mind goes back to so many points, but the one that came up today that hasn't come up in a long time, Marci, is, so here I am, and I'm trying to be an inspirational speaker, and I've got a video of it, and I take it out for audiences sometimes, and people gasp, they cover their mouth, they almost want to close their eyes, because you usually see people when they're successful, and you don't see them when they're trying to become successful. So what I would tell you is, if you saw me on a stage today, I would hope that you would think I was a good speaker. But I would really want to pull out the video for you and show you this is where I began, because I am in the world's worst outfit. And if I stop the video, you'll look and go, I'll go, do you notice that? I'm wearing a woman's jacket. The buttons are on the woman's side. Why? Because I had no money. And I needed a jacket that day. So I pulled the jacket from my girlfriend's closet. And let's go to the next part of the video. You see there? I'm forgetting my speech over and over. Have any of you found me engaging at all in this talk? No, I'm cringeworthy. I'm cringeworthy throughout. I ask the audience to do an activity. I totally screw the pooch on the activity. And it's chaos in the room. Then you watch people get up on the video, turn, and start walking out because they've had enough. And I could go after point, or there's the point, you know, when the bills show up, and I'm living in the western edition of San Francisco, and I'm 3 years into trying to live my dream as a speaker. And the western edition is where somebody factually gets killed every single night of the week. So you don't go out when it's dark. And as I'm working on my dream, gunshots are going off in my neighborhood. And once a month, the bills would come due. And there's no safety net in a family where you grew up in a trailer house. There's no safety net at all. There's $45,000 of credit card debt that I'm rotating on 12 different cards to just make it all happen. But what I learned from that extraordinary experience is I only had to deal with the debt 1 or 2 days a week. And the rest of the days, if I could just put it out of my mind and keep believing in my dream, then I had 28 days a week focusing on what I wanted, not what I didn't want. And Marci, I was so broke. I went from the savings, the little savings I had, to $45,000 of credit card debt that I owed to Visa, that I had to go out, and I started to believe, like, maybe this isn't going to work out, because it took me 5 months to get one place to say, yes, we'll pay you $1,000 to the speaker. 5 months. And at 4 months in, there was no more money left. It looked like everybody was going to say no to me, because I started with a lead list of 1,400 people, and that lead list had now dwindled down to only like 5 places left. And I went, I don't think I'm going to make it. My next rent, I'm not going to make it. And there's nobody to call, and I will be on the street. And I went and got a temporary job. And I showed up, I took the Muni train across the bay, and I was working for this guy, and I realized I was working for him for $7 an hour. And then they would deduct taxes from it. And I was like, okay,
wow.
Today, this might result in $35 in my bank account supporting his dream. But if I had stayed home today and just spent this 8 hours trying a few more times, taking a few more chances on my dream, I might make $1,000 and become what I dream of being.
Yeah.
I was on that job for 3 days, and I went, I can't sell my dream for $40 a week or a day. I can't do it. And I quit. I went home, and I just was walking right towards the financial edge. And when you do that, when you lean into your dream, the universe comes to your rescue, just-in-time service. And when the rent check, when there was no more time left, Wausau Technical College in Wausau, Wisconsin called and said, we'll hire you to come motivate our students. And I was in business.
Awesome. And you shared that in New York, how you went to that first one, and it was a totally, like, an experience you weren't even planning on, being a technical college and what you were asked to do, right? And it's like, but like you said, things just show up and align that you can move forward in that process when you have that definiteness of purpose, that vision, and when everything shows up as a no, you're like, man, what else do I get to try? Man, what else do I get to try? Man, what else do I get to try? I love that. And you talk about your story is gold, and not overlooking the power of your story. Will you explain that, and how, I mean, because this is a huge part of what you do, is you've taken your story, and then you had this passion to share your story and create the one-man show, and now you have people that are phenomenal in the world doing big things, that they hire you to help them make clear on their story and their messaging and how to share that. Share that with us.
Thanks. So story has added up to be I recognize the enormous power of story, and I do my best to share and help people recognize the enormous power of their story, because there is gold in your life story. As long as you're alive right now, you have gold in your life story. And there's probably no greater source of wealth than looking to your own life story. Now, as a quick example, remember, I wanted to be an inspirational speaker, but I had done nothing worth bragging about, especially when you go to state school and you get B grades. But I looked in my life story, and there was the gold, all the gold required for me to take a stage in front of my first audiences and tell them stories from my life. And as long as I told them correctly, as long as I knew how to mine that gold, those stories were the perfect story to move, motivate, and inspire my audience. As a matter of fact, I didn't need to climb Everest. I didn't need to have sawed off my own arm to rescue myself from the Mojave Desert. All I need to do is say, this is what I would share with you that I have learned about life on living your passions. And I learned it in this particular way. And the universal lesson is this, and pow, it just moved everybody it needed to move. and it built me a really stellar career. Well, then I saw a separate dream, and you've talked about it. I haven't spoken. I haven't really clarified it. Remember, I've been an inspirational speaker for 22 years. I continue to do that. But then I went for a crazy, wild, like I must be putting wacky tobacco in my pipe to dream that I could be a comedic theater actor, and I could play Broadway and theaters around the world, and I could just walk out on the stage and I could just entertain and make people laugh for 2 hours. And that seemed like, okay, there are dreams, and then that's just crack. You're just smoking crack if you think that you can be that big dream in your life. But I went for it at 33 years old, and that was 100% about walking out on stage and commanding an audience's attention with a story from my life. And I've been on that ride for 11 years. So I have 34 years of stage experience combined from 2 different realms, inspirational speaking, and then from stage, combined with 3 books I've written in 15 years of being at a keyboard. So it turns out that the 2 central things that if you will, I've acquired expertise on, and I'll claim it, I have expertise on these things, is passion. What it takes to live your passion combined with the power of story. And how there's no more powerful tool you'll have in your little toolkit there. So yeah, I love teaching people about story. I love guiding people. So for instance, Ted McGrath, who's rocking it in his world, he's just rocking it in his world, came to me and said, help me bring the power of my story to life. And we worked together. And in one of the greatest moments of his life, he went from, I don't know how to tell my story, I don't know what my story is, to 1 year later, he rocked his story in a one-man show in a way that left the audience so transformed, impacted, and staggered that nobody left the theater for 2 hours after he finished the play, because they wanted to sit there and talk about what they had just experienced, which was the power of his personal story.
Yeah, and I've seen him do his story, even on stage. I didn't get to experience yet his one-man show. But I have seen him do a story on stage, and it was powerful. And I know that started with you and coaching of how to really exemplify a story and how to bring it out, and it's powerful, very powerful.
So let's give people direct advice on where to look and how to find the gold right now. Okay, perfect. Here's what I want you to do first, is I want you to ask yourself this question: if life has been whispering me a message my whole life through the experiences it's given me, what message is it whispering? What's the through line that life seems to want to be teaching you or giving you a tour of? See, life gives everybody a different tour of what life can be. So if you look and go, what's unique about my tour through life? And don't for an instant think that it's about where's the rosiest path in my life, in my tour. Where's all the good things I could tell people? Because it may be some of that, absolutely, but it may also be like, I've had this really rocky path through life. I've seen the depths of depression. I've seen the biggest obstacles anybody can imagine. That's been my tour of life. Great. Life has amazing things in store for you because you've been on an incredible tour that so many people can draw inspiration and wisdom from. So what is the inspiration and wisdom that you've learned from your tour through life? Okay? That's like, look, if you think about when you go into a gold mine, it's mostly rock. It's mostly ordinary rock. But when you find the vein of gold, like, you're rich. That's what I'm telling you. Like, we've all lived life with various degrees. But there is a vein of extraordinary meaning somewhere through your life. When did it begin? What were the highlights? What were the pivot points? What are the most pivotal moments of your life? And that's a question when I'm drawing somebody out for their story, because if they're coaching with me one-on-one, let's say you sit down with me and go, so Patrick, where do I begin to find my story? I'll ask you that question. The next story is I'll tell you, so tell me a story of when your life changed. Tell me about one of the most life-changing moments of your story. We'll see what comes out. Now, it'll definitely be, you may put it out in a plain, ordinary way that doesn't move or inspire, but now we've got material to work with.
Yeah.
And I assure you, you can take what you think is plain and ordinary, and we can transform it quickly into extraordinary signature story that you'll tell for decades, and people will be like, God, I could hear that story over and over. I just love the way you tell it, and it means so much to me.
Yeah. And is that what you mean by finding your $1 million message? Like, how do people find their $1 million message? Is just getting in tune with, like, what was your personal experience? Clarify that a little bit for me.
You said at the top of the show what you and I have deeply in common, which is a belief that awesomeness is available to us. And to get to that awesomeness, all we really need to do is come into alignment with who we truly are.
Yes, amen.
Like, we don't have to be somebody else.
Yep.
We just have to be deeper and richer, constantly just be a deeper, richer, truer version of us. And the more we do that, the more we just like, this is who I am, this is what I've lived, this is what I've learned, the more people are attracted to us like magnets, the more powerful we are. And the best thing is, the more at ease we are in the world. And everywhere we go, there's no pressure to be anything except our glorious self. It's the most amazing thing in the world to remove these layers that said, I wish I could be more like Tony Robbins. I wish I could be more like John Leguizamo. I wish I could be more like Anthony. You know, the more you drop that stuff, the more you're like, holy smokes, I love being me.
Yeah, love it. Love
right?
it. That's such truth. Dropping the stories and attachments and aligning with who you truly are is when it all comes out of you.
Loving being you, just embracing who you are, you know, and then finding out how to just communicate that to people effectively. I love being me. I really do. Like, every year I love being me more. And what I love about being me is, I don't know why, I don't know how, but I love that I was born with this passionate, relentless, unending desire to talk about passion, to help people discover their passion, to live my own passions. I had no freaking idea why I kept being called to go towards comedy. For a while it pained me. It was just like, why do I have that in my head? I shouldn't have that in my head. I'm not funny. I don't have comedy classes. Like, I know people that are infinitely funnier than me. Why do I have that in my head? I have it in my head because it was just me. It was just hardwired into who I am. Who knows why? And when I finally decided, just be you. Just be you. For some reason you're called to go do that, just go do that without expectation. Boom, it explodes into a globally touring career of 11 years.
Yeah, wow.
Just embrace being you.
And you exude that. That's the thing that I love, like, because that's my experience, is just being in a place where I so just love life and who I am, and whatever shows up is, and there's no judgment or attachment. It just is me, and you, like, exude that experience. So you and I had the best time ever because you're just exuding, like, you just love life and love being you, and then this amazing greatness comes out of you. So when you talk about skill versus gift, because that's something I know that you kind of teach, is make sure it's your skill versus, or make sure it's your gift, not just your skill.
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Okay. So skill versus gift. I see people that are off track in their life constantly. When I walk through the world, I have, what's easy for me to see are people that are about 2 degrees off of being themselves and their true passion. And it's often because we're all insecure. Trust me. We all at least really begin our journey deeply insecure, and we can do another 3 hours on that. Yeah. Anytime someone wants to call me up and go, "Are you really you had insecurity?" Let me tell you about the decades of not believing I was good enough. Let me tell you about the decades of not thinking I was lovable. Let me tell you about the extreme insecurity that would shake me to my knees, you know, and certainly still can sometimes. But so we're all insecure. Well, from that insecurity, we can make some poor choices. One of the poor choices I see people make the very most often is they go, I'm good at this, so I should go that way even though it's not really my dream. But the problem is my real dream, I have no talent on. I did that for 10 years. Yeah. I made that mistake for 10 years. So I saw my real dream, which was a one-man show. But I saw the requirements of that, and it was being funny, and it was having acting skills. And I did a realistic assessment, and so did my friends, and we all agreed, you're not funny, and you have no acting talent, and you would fall flat on your face and fail, okay? Because you have no skill there. So for 10 years, I acknowledged I have no skill in where I dream. So I just kept doing where I do have skill, which was inspirational speaking. But when I finally dropped that bullshit, when I finally got over it, and I decided to go for a dream just because it was a dream, what I found is I had a gift. Yeah. The gift needed to be cultivated into a talent, which would take years. Okay? But it turned out gifts are greater than skills. So how do you know what your gifts are? What calls to you? How do you know what direction to go to? What calls to you? You know, don't let the lack of skill interfere with you going for your dream. Your dream doesn't give a shit about your skill level. It doesn't care. It doesn't care if you're intelligent enough. It doesn't care if you're talented enough. It doesn't care about your zip code. It doesn't care about your bank account. What it cares about is you hearing its whispers, hearing its calls, and coming towards it. And this is what I call the passion secret. This is 22 years about writing about, publishing about, speaking about, coaching about passion. This is the greatest passion secret I know. I feel it's 22 years of wisdom that finally came in a single sentence to me. The passion secret is you don't need to know how you're going to follow your passion, because your passion knows the how. Your passion knows the way. All your passion requires is that you have courage. That's it. And most people's primary block is, but I don't know how I would do that.
Yeah.
I don't know the way. You don't need to know the way, because your passion knows the way. You need to have the courage. And ask anybody who's lived their biggest, most spectacular dreams. And those are the only people to consult with, because lesser people will give you lesser advice. They'll give you shit advice.
Yeah.
Think about that. Honest God, buy the Psychology Today magazine on the shelf, where a man named, a career coach of 22 years, is in published writing cautioning you to not follow your passion, because he never did.
Yeah.
Okay? So they exist. The naysayers exist. What I'm telling you is your passion knows the way. And talk to people who have reached their greatest passions. Talk to Marci. Connect with me. And we'll tell you the way you get to your passion is through a series of miracles that show up to support you. And your job seems to only be to keep showing up, to keep deepening your authenticity, and to keep learning. The one thing you're learning is how to amplify yourself.
Yep. Love it. That resonates so true. So true. Yeah. Because I know, like, I think about, you know, going through my own journey. It was like, yeah, if I looked at the evidence that I had to know how to do what I wanted to do, I had no idea. And it was like a stepping process at a time to go, how do I better create this knowledge? How do I better create this skill set? How do I continue to grow and expand and go towards what you want? Like you just said, that it just shows up more and more and more through you to allow yourself to be that. But nobody starts off having I mean, I'm sure maybe there's people that have natural talent and ability, but maybe not. It's just the fact that it's like, okay, I love how you clarified it. You said, what do you feel called, or what do you feel drawn to? It's like, it doesn't matter that there's no skill set there, no how to. It's what is that desire within you? Yeah.
See, you were a $4 an hour waitress.
$2 an hour.
Sorry, I doubled your pay.
Because that's right, you did.
You were a $2 an hour waitress. And you weren't a $2 an hour waitress with plans in your head for how to build an empire. Mm-hmm. Just getting ready to execute those amazing, brilliant strategic plans that you were just carrying with you at $2 an hour. Mm-hmm. More accurately, you were what? What is the one thing you had that got you started and got you going towards the empire you have now?
My desire to live in the experience of what I wanted, to share my. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now, the other myth I'd really like to bust, to be really clear on, is, and I believe this is a really big myth that's purported by the self-help industry, by the personal development, by inspirational speakers, and that's that you have to have belief in yourself. Listen, right? That is true and false. That's one of those things that, and there are many true and false things in the universe, and to become an entrepreneur and a dreamer, you have to be able to embrace two different truths at the same time. In every one of my dreams, you may not be shocked to know that I believed I could do it. I believed I could become an inspirational speaker. I believed that I could write a book, and I believed that I could take a stage and I could rock a one-man show. Mm. Equally so, but equally true, on any given moment, on every other day, I absolutely doubted myself. Yeah. I was full of total fear, insecurity, and low self-worth that said, no, you can't. No, you won't. You're not special like other people. The people that do it have more than you do, Patrick. They have better communication skills. They have more charisma. They have more intelligence. They have more money in the bank. There is a difference between you and them. And this is a conversation that goes back and forth. So to just say, all you need to do is believe in yourself, is to terrify the individuals like myself 20 years ago that were going, well, fuck, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe in myself, but I feel I could do it. You feel you could do it? Does it kind of feel like that feeling's from your heart? Does it kind of feel like that feeling's in your bones? It's the truth. Then do it. Do it even though you're insecure. Do it even though you're doubtful. Do it even though you don't love yourself yet. Do it, because it is through the truth of your hero's journey. And going after your dreams is nothing more than saying, I'm going to go on my hero's journey. I'm going to embrace my adventure. It's nothing more than that. And if you believe that the purpose of your hero's journey is to get the treasure at the end, I'm here to burst your bubble. It's not. Like, you will get a treasure that awaits you at the end, and that treasure will be full of more, it'll be overflowing. It will have treasures and gems and diamonds and gold and wealth that you never even dreamed of yourself. I swear to you, it will surprise you every time. You'll be like, holy smokes, it's a much bigger find than I thought it would be. But life is not giving you these dreams in order to get you treasure. Life is giving you these dreams to help you grow into the amazing, magnificent, grand, incredible, spectacular, loving, self-loving, joyful being that is already implanted in there. It's doing to help you throw off all the layers, because it's going to challenge you so many times. But by the end of the process, you're going to go, you know what I gained from going after my dreams? Yes, I play in this theater and I rock that audience and I have these books, but what I gained is really, really, I really am happy with myself.
Yeah, and that's the greatest gift. That's the greatest experience you can ever have, is that your day-to-day peace and happiness and flow and living an awesome life. Like,
yeah, now I'm serving from an overflowing cup.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, so if somebody's going for, oh, like you mentioned, go for the dream to what it's going to get you in the end result, you're missing the whole journey.
Yeah.
And what comes out of you is that experience of being aligned to just, like, that's why, like, one of my mottos is, if I'm not experiencing awesomeness, then what the hell is the point? If I'm not in peace and flow and balance and loving my life, what is the point? I'm not doing something, I'm doing it for the reason of being aligned in that truth and that experience. But, so Patrick, I want to hurry and share, though, how, again, remind people where they can actually get in touch with you. You're actually doing a master step program as well, which at the end I want you to share a little bit about that, because you coach so many people, and you have several different things to help people just on a startup really type of level, to also these amazing individuals that you coach personally to get clear on their message and their story and their pitches and all these type of things. But again, you guys can go to patrickcombs.com, and that's, again, comb. I'm going to do the action like
with an S. Yeah, with an S.
Yeah, yep. And then you can also go to patrick.com or patrickcombs.com/the-master-step to find out more. Did I do it right? Yeah. To find out about his Master Step program. And then also, again, being able to download, getting the Marci Lock app for free on iTunes or marcilockapp.com, and going to mindbody90.com to get the free video series to start on your journey to be liberated. So Patrick, jumping back in, so with this, you're talking about people getting clear on, like, what do they desire to do? Like, what's in their heart versus the skill level. So what's the greatest mistakes or the biggest reasons people don't ever get off the ground?
Well, the biggest mistake that the reason why people don't get off the ground is they don't understand the magic that's actually embedded somehow by the universe in beginning. Mm. And I wasn't the first person to notice this. Trust me, it's been said. It's been so many different ways throughout history. When you start to really read about remarkable people, it's been said very recently in a brilliant book called The War of Art by Stephen Pressfield. But Stephen Pressfield, better than anybody I know, explained it best. He said, until you begin, you don't experience the magic. You don't even know the magic is waiting. Until you begin, there's hesitancy. Mm. But when you begin, you not only discover that you are capable of it, which is what we're all hoping for. Like, okay, well, Patrick, if you're saying that I should really ratchet it up and go for that dream, I should throw caution to the wind and I should go for that dream. That's scary. Like, that's scary because, again, like we've been talking about conversation, what if I'm not good enough for my dream? You know, what if I'm the odd man out, and it turns out it turns out you weren't. Right, that's what our deepest fear is. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my God. So 99 out of 100 people it works for, just not Patrick Combs. That's the deep fear, right? So what I would tell you is, it turns out every time you start on a dream that scares you, that it turns out you don't almost immediately learn that you're capable of making one good decision at a time. Because every decision you make in the direction of your dreams is a good decision.
Yeah,
whether
love it.
It's a successful result or a bad result, because now you're in motion.
Yep.
And hear me clearly. Motion is what the powers of the universe pay attention to. Motion is magnetizing. Motion is when the universe goes, we have motion in the direction of a dream, send help. Mm-hmm. Lack of motion that doesn't energize anything. Okay?
I love it. So just the energy, just the vibration.
If you're in a sailboat, in a sailboat and the winds are blowing, but you don't raise the sail, you just drift in you either sit still or you just drift with a current. You're not going anywhere. Raise the sail. Raise the sail. That's the day you go, I'm doing this. I'm going for this. And you take one action towards it. You find out you're capable, and you find out that there's magical assistance that wants to come help you out when you need it. Every day? No. Small miracles often? Yes.
So just the energy and the vibration of, and I completely 100% agree with this to be true, is that it's just saying, declaring it and saying, I want this, and that's going to be my only focused intention. Because as I look back, I'm actually, right now, I'm writing in a book that I got asked to be a part of called Bold, and it's Unleashing the Hero Within, and it's for entrepreneurs that have been really bold or living bold life in a worldwide tour going on for it. And I was like, okay, what are the key principles I feel like have allowed me to live a bold life? And one of them is just in recognizing that if you have a clear definiteness of purpose, again, like you mentioned before, not necessarily knowing how, but just knowing this is what I want, and I can look back and go, as that waitress, moving from that space of all I could see around me was all the evidence that life was hard and sucked and all that, but knowing, hey, okay, this is what I want, I'm going to go for that vision of what I want, and just raising my hand in a way, like you're saying, that energy vibration, what you put out by saying, this is what I want, I'm just going to take a step. All of a sudden the next step shows up, and then the next step shows up, and the next step shows up, and everything is a gift, and everything is your right decision. I think a lot of people get lost in the space that you kind of said is there is no such thing as a bad decision, because did it teach you something? And as long as you're moving forward towards that, but I love the way that you put that with a cell, because if you are just sitting here, nothing's happening, but as soon as you just say, hey, this is what I'm declaring and speaking and saying, something, it's like you're calling. You said calling for that assistance, calling for those things to show up, to give you that next push to sail through those waters a little bit further. That is such perfect clarity in that. So what would you say is the next step for people?
I'm going to go to 4 really quickly, okay? Because we're really cementing down now. Okay, so write this down, my friends. Write this down. The number one thing I want you to do as your coach to get you going on your dream and get you massive momentum is I want you to get incredible clarity. Because I do not know a single human being who's rocking their life at a high level who doesn't have extraordinary clarity. And they have extraordinary clarity about these 3 things, okay? They have extraordinary clarity about the total vision of their life, okay? And the second thing they have extraordinary clarity about is the pinpoint laser focus that they're on right now. From this huge vision, they also have a laser focus. It's their mission. And the third thing they have incredible clarity on is their big, emotional, deep-seated personal reason why they're doing this in life. Why, of all the things they could choose to do, they're choosing to commit to this one. It's personal. You might not ever show that to someone, but I'll share mine with you. I've done almost everything I've done in my life for 22 years, and if you looked at it from the outside, you'd guess because he wants to help people. Yes, that's true. I love helping people, but there's a deeper reason. It's entirely selfish. I mean, I truly feel like, I don't know, I should run around saying it out loud. But my deep why I've gone through more shit than anybody can imagine. I've gone through more rejection. I want a rejection contest. I want to do a 6-hour event where people come up and they try and throw down on rejection and failure because I know I can win that contest. I know I can go step by step and go, let me outdo you. I failed this way, I failed that way, I did this thing wrong, I did that thing wrong. I can outdo anybody. I know I can, because I'm where I am, because I fail more than anybody on the planet. Okay? So, but I have this funky why. When I was 20 years old, I began to see my viewpoint, my genetic viewpoint of the world. There are really amazing, creative, talented people. And they look like the rock stars of the world. They look like the people that are having the best time on the planet to me. If I could be anything in the world, I would be a creative, amazing, talented person. You know what I was certain of?
What?
That I could never be that. That everything said, and that's who you could never be. Because you're not, everything about you is not that. You're big-eared, you're skinny as a rail, you're awkward, you're nerdy, you're geeky, you have no creative ability, you can't play an instrument, you can't write a poem, you're nothing in the creative world. And yet, that called to me in the deepest way. So my deepest why, I'm just telling you, like, this is how personal it was. Yeah. All I've ever really wanted to be is talented and creative. It's all I've ever wanted to be. I had to go earn it for 22 years. I've had to earn. Do I feel I am now? I'm stupefied to tell you that about 2 years in my life, I began to just really sort of look around and feel like I needed to acknowledge the facts. That if I was playing on these stages in the world and creating this kind of result, these kind of standing ovations, if I was talking and getting signed by these agents, if reviews in the papers were coming out with this many stars, if I was being invited by Hilton and Marriott, I had to look around. And if I had written 3 books, I had to look around and go, Patrick, crazy thing. I think you've become creative and talented.
Yes.
So what is your big why? Yes, am I altruistic? Yes, but that's too easy. What is deeper? What's the deepest thing that drives you? You know? So, and my children are a big part of it too. Okay, so step number 1 is get incredible clarity. And I want to tell you from a data-driven reason. I have a company now, and if you join my The Master Step program at patrickcombs.com/the-master-step, not only are you going to work with me to get incredible personally, I'm going to personally get you to incredible clarity, but I'm going to do it through a software company I built for the last 4 years. Well, that software company has given me data and access to see how poorly almost everybody creates their clarity. Yeah. And so having this window into how most people don't know how to create incredible clarity is why the Master Step program was born. Because I know the starting point is you have to have the same clarity that these people that are crushing it do. Yeah. Step number 2, when you have that clarity, you're empowered, you're more motivated, you are ready to show up to your dream. So I have step number 1 for you. Take any action you can think of now. My life is a testament to it. I'm going to go really quickly. So I want to be an inspirational speaker. I'm dreaming of giant stages. I got my ass to San Francisco State University. I asked the one professor I knew would do me a favor, may I come in and talk to your class and do a motivational speech for 15 minutes? I rode the bus terrified with nothing written down, calling my brother in a panic going, Jesus, I've got this thing going on. I don't know what I'm going to say. Holy shit, help me, Mike. My brother's like, Patrick, we grew up with messages. What did Mom tell us? I'm like, oh, thank you, brother. But see, had the dream clarified it, within 24 hours, going to talk in front of an audience. Did I do great? No, I didn't do great. But I was in action. Okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, all right, book. I have 3 best-selling books. What was action number 1? Read in the newspaper, like, hey, guy wrote a book about cheating. He's selling it like hotcakes on the East Coast. Picked up the phone, called my girlfriend and said, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to start faxing you pages today. Action. 1 page, day 1. Okay? Because if you don't take action immediately, the window of opportunity goes, and it's closed by the next freaking day. The next day, your insecurity, self-doubt, reason, practicality, and friends will, what was I thinking yesterday? What you were thinking yesterday was your pathway to a best-selling book that would impact hundreds of thousands of lives. But if you don't seal the deal with action right away when you're afraid, it's gone. Yep. It blew away the wind, and you know where it went? I swear to God, it went to the next person that was ready to receive and take action on the dream. And they write the freaking book you were dreaming of, and it will be published, and you will see it, and you will go, that was my idea. I let it go. Yep. Okay?
Yep,
that's
agree.
Step number 2. Step number 3 is so important. Oh, let me just say, though, this is a repeating pattern in my life. One-man comedic show. Where did I start? On a street corner in San Francisco. I went, where could I do comedy right now, today? I went to a street corner in Union Square, and I stood there, and I put out a hat, and I tried to tell stories. The most miserable day of my life, but I was in action while other people were falling asleep at their dreams. Okay?
Yeah.
So what's step number 3? You've almost already heard it. You have got to start small. What holds people back from their dreams is we are gifted big dreams because that's how much reward life has in store for us. Marci's living testament. Life was just waiting. I heard a story once, and I love this story. It's an anecdote. And it is that a guy dies and he goes to heaven. And as he's passing through the pearly gates, the first place that the angels taking him is through this giant warehouse. Think Indiana Jones. And the warehouse is just as far as the eye can see, with as many rows as the eye can see. And the shelves go as high as it's boxes and boxes. And the boxes each have people's names on it. He walks by, and then they stop in front of this row of boxes. It goes to the ceiling. And it's his name all the way up. Like, just, holy smokes, what are these? And he notices the first box on the shelf is open and it's empty. So he says to the angel, wow, all these boxes, my name, what is it? He's like, these are the boxes of treasure that life had for you.
Oh.
Like, why is only one box open? He goes, because that's all you asked for.
Wow.
That's all you asked for. So at some point, Marci had one box open. That's all she asked for. And then she made a courageous, like outrageously courageous journey to step into her hero's journey, to do things she didn't believe she could do, you know, to get crazy, you know, for the first time in her life, to begin to believe in herself, to begin to say, I'm gonna turn all this insecurity, self-doubt, and fear into belief, one day at a time. She lives extraordinary belief in herself now. And she got to open all those boxes, right? Okay. But step number 2 is start small, because life has huge treasures awaiting for you, but you need to start small and sucky. Small and sucky. It gets the job done. And if you wait for anything more to get started, if you wait for I'm ready and to kill it, you're never going to start. That's called perfectionitis, paralysis.
Yeah. Wow. First off, you almost made me cry, which I do that, but I so love and enjoy you. These are amazing, amazing golden nuggets. So I want to end on one aspect of asking you is what's that? So the clarity you're talking about, get clear, because if you're not clear and you're not taking action right now, all those things are like, I can't even tell you exact prescription of how to move forward and create that in your life, because I've seen the same thing for people where it's like, oh, the desire's there, and then they shut it down, and then boom, it never happens for them. So those are awesome. But so what's the next step right now for them? Other than the getting clear, is there anything else that you want to share for those people that are, if they're in that deepest, darkest hole right now and they don't see the light, what would you share with them as a next step so that they can move forward and create, moving on to the gifts or the desires that they have to live the life that it's really possible for them?
If you're in a dark, because I believe we all go there.
Yeah.
And I don't want to pretend that it's exclusive territory to some and no longer territory to others. That's not life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? As long as we're alive and we're being authentic, we will all face our stormy days, our dark times, where our pain body, and that's all it is your pain body is trying to take over. Yeah. It's trying to hijack your being. We all have a pain body, and I'm speaking of Eckhart Tolle's Power of Now work. So if this resonates for you, like, go get that book. But what I want to share with you is when you're in your pain body, and that could look like depression, paralysis, confusion, anguish, loneliness, anger, whatever it is for you that you just go like, this is negative. This is not the joyful, peaceful, loving person that people describe I could be.
Yeah.
The number one thing that there are 2 places to begin always, to have a brand new life immediately. And this is the best news I've ever learned in my life. 48 years of living, I'll tell you this. Like, you can have a brand new life right now. Like, you don't have to wait till tomorrow. Your life can be absolutely better when you get off this call. You do 2 things. Number 1, just sit with yourself and just go, what am I feeling inside? And if it's nasty or dark or negative or tinged with anything that isn't joyful inner peace, all you do is just sit with that feeling and just watch it. Just watch that feeling until it goes away. Don't judge it. Don't say, that's a bad feeling in me. Just watch it. And if that simple practice not only changed my life, and is not only awakening millions of people around the planet to their greatest joy, love, peace, and spirit, there's no more radical way to change your life. Change your life today. And the more you do it, the more it'll change your life in enormous, miraculous ways. The second thing you could do tonight to go, wow, my life is instantly better, is take a pad of paper and just sit and write every single thing you are grateful for, everything you already have. And a lot of people's gratitude starts with, I own this, and it ends with, I own this. And real gratitude goes, holy smokes, I'm looking out my window and there are trees.
Yeah.
I have the access to look at trees. Wow, when I go on the road, I'm driving on a paved road that I didn't have to pave.
Yeah.
Wow. Your gratitude can wrap itself around planet Earth when you allow yourself to realize, what do you have in your life that serves you?
Yes.
What do you have inside you that serves you? And the number one transformational gratitude thing is, where in your life are you receiving love? And can you expand your definition from being this limited to that person loves me to, wow, all of these things are supportive, loving actions. I'm getting that much love. Your life would be better right away.
Yeah, amazingly. Yep, awesomeness. So, gosh, you've had so many great golden nuggets. I just love watching you, Patrick, because what I'm thinking about is, so I was, before, yesterday I got here to the Laguna Beach area, but I was in LA, and I was all weekend in this experience of just being on set in this studio production and talking to producers, and the coaching I get is, Marci, your energy is intense. You gotta bring down your energy. Like for everyone else for everyone else, you better amplify the crap out of your energy. For Marci, try to bring it down a lot, right? And so watching you, I just it lights me up because I'm you exude the energy that I feel is still that's what I feel that comes from me, and just you're you do this like I do. I have to watch myself on TV to be let me enunciate because I'll get all blah, 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 passionate and want to share. But you are such a genius at just sharing your passion and letting that passion come through you. And I just want to honor you and say thank you for being who you are and sharing that. Your messages, you just had, I can't even list how many golden nuggets you just shared with the people tuning in. And I know all the people that will continue to download this program for a long time and getting to hear from you. But the inspiration you shared, the gifts you share, the knowledge that you shared to giving people, gosh, I mean, what they would be going and seeking out that knowledge and paying hundreds of thousands of dollars for what you just shared in creating, just living in the space. But what I love most is that it's all just about you. You're just being happy and being in the moment right now, and you're such an amazing example to me of that. And so I love that. I love being in your space. I love being around you. I love how it exudes from you. And every time I've had the experience of being around you, Patrick, I'm just filled with more joy, which I love. And that's because I only attract the very best. So thank you for being you and for sharing your knowledge and your gifts and your genius today and making this possible with me to create the time for this and just allowing all that to come through you. Thank you so much for that.
Well, it's very easy to be present around a magnificently present person. It's very easy to be passionate around someone who lives passionately. So the honor is all mine. This incredible platform for serving people that you've built. I'm humbled. I'm in awe. I'm in awe. I'm in awe. So I'd like to tell people this directly, Marci, okay? So that it can be clear. If you're a person who says to yourself, story matters to me, whether it's in speaking or it's in coaching, I would like my story to really move and transform and inspire. I'd like to find that gold in the story. Then connect with me. You can connect with me on Facebook. You can connect with me at patrickholmes.com. Just send me an email and say, Patrick, I'd like to do a free consultation session with you around the power of story. Mm-hmm. And then we'll take it up from there. Okay? And we'll get your story better. But there may be another thing that or you're an inspirational speaker and you say, my keynote's excellent, but could it be better? I promise you, your keynote speech could be better. Call me. I'll show you immediately how you can joyfully go, oh my Lord, my speech is better. And that's just a great passion of mine. An actor in Hollywood who we see on TV all the time is coming to my home on a weekly basis to work in my studio because he's making a giant leap of faith in his life. He says, I don't want to just be an actor. I want to change people's lives. Great. We're discovering the gold in his life story. He's discovering the talents he didn't know he had. I want to serve you if you feel like that might be you. You know, and some people have no experience and some people have a world of experience. You know, I know how to work with you in either case. Now, the power of story aside, I'd tell you this. I am so deeply grateful that the Master Step program that I run for people, 10 people at a time, came through me. You know, it came through me and said, Patrick, this is how to serve people. It doesn't make sense financially. I want to tell you that. It doesn't. I want you to be aware of that. I'm doing something that doesn't make sense, but I like to live my life according to the inspiration, not the sense. Yeah. Because what I do in the Master Step programs, I take I think it's only 8 people at a time. Only 8 people at a time for this ridiculously low cost. Like I should be charging thousands for it.
I know, you told me, and I think, wow, that's like your way of feeling like you serve people at every level.
Yes. At every level. Thank you, Marci. That's it. Like, I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, I really wish I could get his personal help, but I can't afford thousands. Like, there are ways to pay me thousands if you want. That's fine. Like, we'll take a talk. But if you're just like, I want incredible clarity, I want Patrick's personal touch to help me find that, then sign up for that thing fast, because I personally help 8 people at a time once in a while. You know, because I'm living my dreams, this or that. So the Master Step is there. Read all about it. I think it's incredible. It is served. It's now served over 100 people, and their lives are dramatically different after they complete it. So those are my 2.
That's at Patrick Holmes /master
patrickholmes.com/the-master-step.
I left out the. So,
the Master Step is getting incredible clarity, getting me as your accountability partner, and getting into massive action.
And they have access to you personally, which phenomenal when you're also working with these celebrities and high-end speakers and people on a personal level.
I never thought of it before, but it's the best way to form an actual relationship with me. I never thought of that before, but everybody that goes through it, if they're on the willing side, we end up being friends.
Yeah. Yeah, awesomeness. Wow. Well, that's incredible. So definitely connect with Patrick that way. And I can't recommend him more, because I've seen the people that he's worked with and how phenomenal their stories are and their messaging. I heard about Patrick with raving reviews before I ever got to experience him and know who he was, and then getting to experience him as a personal friend. I'm just blown away by the passion, the knowledge, the energy this man exudes, and he's definitely living in his gifts and his purpose. And so thanks again, Patrick, for being not only that amazing example in my life, but sharing who you are and being here today to share this with me on this platform, because you said it, I didn't put 20 grand into this to it's not a moneymaker. It's just a way of sharing value and passion, and it fires me up to even more so do my passion. And I know you just changed so many lives today with your message. So thanks for being here and being a part of it. I love you so much. And I will get to see you next week. Yay. It's for some more, I'm sure, Blue Steel contest. We'll see what happens when we're out in public, right?
We'll see the magic.
We'll have to have someone follow us around with a camera again.
Yeah. It wasn't me changing lives. It was us in spirit, to be certain. You're so humble, you leave yourself out. No, it was us in spirit, and mostly spirit changing lives, right? So that's great. And I want to say this on behalf of Marci for those people that are listening. We all recognize the brilliant, amazing being of light and how many lives that Marci is changing. And behind the scenes, Marci is so diligent at working hard to do this. And so our way of being able to support Marci, because she's giving gifts, our way to support Marci is click the share. Click the share on your favorite Marci content, and do it with 3 pieces of content today. Just go like, I have to share this person because she's out there making a difference in people's lives. Like, she's coming from pure intention. She's really honest. She's one of the good guys. And we really need to support the good people, because not everybody has really grand, spectacular, pure intentions. You know, and this is one of the epic human beings that's just coming from such a pure place of sharing and gifting and giving. So 3 pieces of Marci content, click share, Facebook, turn people on to Marci.
Thanks. You make me cry. Love it. Appreciate that. So, okay, you guys, definitely check out Patrick. Download the Marci Lock app to be able to continue to get amazing, genius knowledge from so many people sharing their passion, purpose, and evidence for you that you can have it all and live in awesomeness. And go to mindbody90.com to also get access to your free video series as well to liberate yourself from the lies. So, Patrick, I'm going to leave it up to you to, I mean, I lock it down, but I know you've created all these fun ways to lock it. So I think you get it in your talent and your amazing abilities. I'm going to let you end us.
Yeah. A man named Patanjali 1,000 years ago said the one quote that I need to know now in my life to navigate my passions. And Patanjali said, I'll approximate a little bit on the second half, but look it up. Patanjali said exactly, when there is an extraordinary project or great purpose, then the following things happen. Remember, notice he wrote extraordinary project, great purpose. Choose extraordinary projects of great purpose in your life is the point here. Then what happens according to Patanjali, and I've lived it and know it as a truth, is your mind transcends limitations. Your consciousness expands in all directions, and you become a far greater person by far than you ever dreamed to be. The universe comes to your rescue with unseen resources that otherwise wouldn't have shown up, material assistance, coincidental meetings of the perfect person at the exact right time, and you find yourself living in a new, wonderful world.
Wow. Perfect. But I think you just zip-locked it down.
I zip-locked that thing. Pow!
Zip-lock it, bitch. It's done.
Thanks, Marci.
I love it. I love you. I will see you next week. And for all you people, you have an amazing, wonderful, fantastical day and create your awesome, fantastic life. Lock it down.
I think we just did.
Oh, yep. Lock it.